I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to say your style has evolved with your mental liberation.
Say that again.
Yeah, your style has evolved with your liberation mentally. And I think, like how there are in different spaces, there are unique what's the word I'm looking for? Narratives to tell you how you should look and how you should be. And I think that once you evolved in your faith and your thinking about God, and that you realize you were dressing because of what people told you how you should look.
Correct.
And once you began to say, no, I'm not letting you tell me how I should look. I'm going to look how my faith and what I feel and what God is telling me how to look. I think that's definitely a part of your stylistic liberation.
Thank you for that.
And to where you are now.
I like that stylistic liberation.
Yeah, man, we drop it, the dynamics of our dynamic, like everything we drop in tonight, because we're just talking about something we love. So,
it's true.
But yeah, I do believe that, and I do believe like for a lot of people as well, that I think your style is a part of your personhood and where you are mentally, and that you get to a certain place where you're like, no, bump that. I want to look like this, or I want to wear this. And your style is not my style is not your style. It's individual style, but how it complements and what kind of, I always feel like style is always you're communicating a message.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Carlene plus Jamie. And we are, so excited and absolutely delighted for this episode that we're about to do. We're going to talk about something that we are deeply passionate about.
Yes.
And if you've seen us, you probably know what that already is. But we are talking about style and soul and how we merge our styles together as a Black couple or just as a couple in general. And I don't know about you, Carlene, but I'm feeling this episode. How about you?
I am too. Please pardon my...
Yeah, the allergies is...
Allergies are allergying.
Yeah, I like that. The allergies is allergy.
Or allergying, yeah. I think we've been out and about for the past 2 days. So I'm feeling it, and I knew that I would be suffering a little bit. But it's okay. We're going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
And as you said, this is actually one of the episodes that we truly look forward to doing, because we're just like, this is us. It embodies who we are as a Black couple, as a couple, period. And so we're really excited to talk about fashion and style.
Yeah. And so shout out to all of our subscribers, those of you that have been rocking with us every week. Every week we see that we are climbing in numbers, and we love the comments. Even though, I don't know if you know this, if you've been reading the comments, but we've been getting a few trolls here and there.
Oh no.
When we talk about our Blackness and, just living in America and dealing with the narratives about us, there have been some trolls that have been leaving comments, but
okay.
We welcome the trolls, right? You are giving us another view, and
thank you,
and that helps. So thank you to all the trolls, but thank you to our subscribers that rock with us and that love us. And if you're not a subscriber, then we would love it if you would just hit the subscribe button. Guess what? It is absolutely free. It's not going to cost you anything. But if you like the content, please like, share, comment, because we read all of them and we truly do appreciate all of you.
Yes, indeed. So let's go ahead and get ready.
All right, let's go. Yeah. Almost felt like we should have went gaudy over extra stylish for this episode. But we should have. You think so? No. I mean, we already started. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. But yeah, we're cool with the way we are.
Yeah.
I think you're very stylish right now.
Yeah, that's why I kind of did a little extra something tonight for this episode, and I feel like you probably should have too.
I should have too, but I'm cool. People, if you know me, if you follow The New Negro, DANEWNEGRO, then you can see. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit in the episode about my style. It switches up
Yeah.
constantly.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
goes with my mood.
It
So,
does. It
yeah.
does. And I guess it's the mood you're in, but it's all good.
Yeah.
You look good. So
Thank you.
that's what matters most.
Thank
But let's go ahead and get right into the episode as we talk a little bit about our personal style as cultural expression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first question is essentially, how does our individual style reflect our cultural background and upbringing?
It's a good question. I don't know if it really fits our culture. Well, I would say I don't. So my parents are from Guyana, but I was born in America, born in Brooklyn, New York. So if you want to say cultural background, I think that I'm a product of New York City. I think that I'm a product of Brooklyn. But then I'll also say this, that my style truly comes from my dad. And he was born in Guyana. So I guess like his love for American suits and American style, he brought that with him to America. And I just grew up seeing him in suits and nice shoes. And that was something that I wanted to mimic, but not in my younger days, not until I became an adult. In my younger days, it was definitely hip hop, heavily hip hop influenced, peer influenced, um, and then magazine influence. But then different stages in my life, my style progressed to what it is today.
Gotcha.
And so, what about you?
So I'm from Suriname, born in the country of Suriname, but I am of Guyanese descent as well.
Descent.
And so um, growing up in my household, the cultural background, how did my style or how did that influence it? I don't think it influenced it in a sense of, what to wear, but it definitely influenced it in terms of how to present when I show up in public, how I present myself. My upbringing was a lot of, if you have one, I always remember my mom saying that her mom said to her, if you have one shirt, one pants, one dress, or whatever, you wear that one thing well. You always wear it well. Like it should not be looking raggedy. If it's that one thing that you have, you take care of it. And when you show up in public, you show up dressed well, even if it's that one thing. So a lot of times my brothers and I growing up with my mom, like we would not have a lot of clothes because she could not afford to buy stuff for us, right? All the time. And so what would happen is that we would basically repeat and recycle our stuff. So if we had, say for instance, 3 pairs of a shirt and I had like 2 skirts, I would be switching it up. But in the switch up, we would literally change up, whether it's putting on a shoe, a different kind of shoe, or putting on like a blazer or a jacket to kind of make it, make it work for us, where it doesn't look like it's the same thing. And people always used to say, like, man, you guys have a lot of clothes. No, we don't. Actually, our closet literally has like 3 things. But from a very young age, we learned how to I guess recycle the items in our closet to kind of make it work for us.
Yeah, so you brought up a good point. So I think that was partly a part of my upbringing too, right?
Yeah.
Like when you go out, you got to look a certain way because you got to look like somebody because you're representing this family. I don't want you going out there looking like something. But what's interesting too about the recycling clothes was I remember my mom, and I used to hate this going to public school, at elementary school. My mom used to say, I ain't washing clothes every week. So she wanted me to wear what I wore yesterday the next day.
Right.
And then thank God for my sister, the one that's like right in between, right older than me. When my mother would leave for work, she would take out a different outfit for me to wear because she understood
We don't do that in
America. Yeah, so probably in the West Indies that was cool because my mother was just thinking about economically.
Yeah.
Like I gotta pay for water and pay for soap. I'm not washing. You don't wear a new outfit every day. And then I'm trying to like express to her, at a young tender age, like, yo, you don't wear your clothes twice because then people will start calling you dirty. And so, but to your point, culturally, to see how we both have immigrant parents that migrated here, but you had a few pieces, but you knew how to mix those pieces up.
Yeah.
And to where my dad was very much very like liberal or very, I don't even know what's the word, willing to buy us clothes. Like he would always make sure he took us shopping for school, bought us sneakers and stuff like that, because he was very big on, I guess, how you look and how you present. I think my mother just took it as, yeah, you got to look good, but economically, in her Guyanese mind, is like, you're gonna wear the same clothes twice. Not even fathoming or thinking about what kind of scrutiny and them kids would have made fun of me.
For sure.
Because kids remembered.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it was bad enough I had to go to school with an afro with all that Dax in my hair. And it was bad, greasy, so stuff like that. So yeah, but that's a good point that you brought up about the cultural point.
Yeah, and I also think growing up for my brothers and I, because we didn't have the luxury of going school shopping at the beginning of every school year, like we literally had to make what we had work. So the good thing was, I guess my older brother was the one that struggled a little bit, but for the most part, like everything would trickle down for my brothers. And even sometimes I would wear their clothes. Because back in the day, everything was all about the baggy look, right? And so I would sometimes wear their Boss jeans or whatever jeans they had and just kind of, again, recreate. So I think that my ability to see an outfit, to see a item, a clothing item or whatever, whether it's a skirt or shirt or whatever, and I learned from a young age how to remix it out of, I don't know, out of necessity, right? It was necessary.
Right.
We didn't have a choice. My mom, a single mom raising us, we didn't have a choice of abundance of clothes. And so in terms of like the cultural background, that's basically what set the foundation for me. And it sounds like what you just expressed, that's what set the foundation for you growing up, your dad, the influence of your dad, as well as your sister who had your back, be like, nah, we're not going to do that.
Right. Because my sister was definitely very stylish. To this day, she's still very stylish. And I wanted to wear her clothes. Because back in the 90s, like you said, everything was baggy.
Yeah.
And she was a little bit taller than me, but she would have all like the Columbia rain suit. She had all the Jordans. But I mean, I used to love when we used to wear the same size. So I would definitely try to get into her stuff or wear it. But yeah, them days was rough, man. You gonna wear this again? I'm like, what?
I know, right? So let's talk about like style lessons that we may have had from either our parents or grandparents, or even, the elders that we saw that were in our sphere of influence. Like, what can you share regarding that influence on you, or the lessons learned?
The only person that I think stylish influence on me was my dad and my sister. I can't think of any family member, and that's the other thing too, right? One thing is my family is predominantly women, so I'm like the only male, and so there wasn't really a male in the family that I looked to be like, I want to dress like that. So the only male I had was my dad. And then my sister, she had that 90s tomboy kind of look that mirrored like, the MC Lights and the Roxanne Shantays, like before Lil Kim came out and it was all tight stuff, baggy stuff. So those were the only two style icons for me in my family. Now I had other ones that I looked up to, but as far as like
family.
That's the only two that I can think of that were, iconic for me.
Gotcha. I know that the only person I pretty much have it is my mom. She basically um, made sure from a very young age, like, even if it's one, like that one always looked my best. I always looked my best. And she always kept herself always well put together. Um, Even like, she used to buy my clothes in New York City at where the Jews shop, right? So the Jews' clothing was very, it was quality. It was a little bit more expensive, but whatever that one piece of item I had or pieces I had, it was always quality. So she taught me from a very young age, like, always spend your money on stuff that is quality, not quantity. So she would always buy our clothes from the Jewish area. And so that always had me or had me like know for sure like what quality clothes was or were. And so seeing like how she took care of her stuff and how she presented her things, even though she didn't have a lot, it was still very much great to look up to her and as she taught us these things, right? It was annoying at first, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, sometimes I used to feel a ways that we didn't have enough money to afford to get all really nice things. But if it's one really nice thing we have, that really one nice thing is going to be quality.
So as you're asking these questions, I'm wondering, is style hereditary? Is style something that's handed down?
I think so.
Or
I think
is it
parts of it.
or is it something that's learned, like something that can be learned?
Yeah, but it's even if it's passed down, it's learned. It's a
Yeah.
learned behavior.
Right.
But I just think that it evolves as you.
Or I guess like um can you create a generation of stylish people, or can you create a generation of unstylish people who just don't care? Like if they,
Oh yeah.
like their parents don't care, their people that they're around don't care about it, so I don't care about it.
But I honestly think that style is learned. It's a learned
Yeah.
behavior.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that there are like little um, uh, drops of inspiration or drops of not trends, but things that you kind of follow or grow up learning or knowing, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're poor or whether you're rich. I feel like those are little nuggets that are planted inside of you, seeds that are planted, so that the older you get, like it just evolves into it becoming your own thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
for sure.
like versus if we both had no influence or if we both had influence, the influence that we had was basically you show up the way you want to show up, you put on whatever you want to put on, you buy whatever you want to buy in terms of like if it's cheap and raggedy looking, right?
Yeah.
We would probably not be sitting here having this conversation at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about style as resistance and affirmation. So let's talk about the historical context for of Black style as both resistance and celebration.
Yeah.
How fashion choices can be acts of self-determination and affirmation.
Yeah, yeah. So, I used to really love doing this the series about what was it, Justice Has Style or Freedom Has a Style. And in my research, I discovered when I was studying the Black Panther Party that their style of clothes was a form of resistance, right? And militant as well. So like the berets that they wore were berets that the French Army wore, the French Revolutionary Army wore. So they mimicked that as well. And just the leather biker motorcycle jackets and the black jeans and all that is a sign of resistance. And then you have Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., who wore suits and who wore it to a T, very sharp. And then with the march for the sanitation workers, when they were on wearing overalls,
yeah.
which was the common attire for sanitation workers or for the common worker, that they decided to wear that to show that I'm in solidarity with them, that they took off their suits. So style has always been a form of cultural resistance for African Americans, particularly too when, we could not afford the suits. We got our suits made and we made them well. And then there's also a great book, Black Ivy. I looked over at it because it's one of the books that I reference all the time. And Black Ivy just talks about how we adapted the Ivy style, which was of the upper class white collegiate students, and how we took that and made it our own, and we created what was called the Black Ivy, right? The loafers with the white socks and the Levi's jeans, and kind of like really put our flair and our pizzazz on it. And then there's also the Black Dandy. Man, I wish I looked up his name, Sofair or something like that, but he was known as the first Black Dandy, who was from St. Kitts. And being from St. Kitts, that he used his style and charisma as a way not to be seen as a slave, but as a counterpart to some of these other English stylish men, and that he was making moves and deals, but he used that, which generated or which created the Black Dandy, the stylish Black man, the stylish Black woman, and how we have used that to just establish our place in society, as that we could take your hand-me-downs and we could turn it into gold, right? You give us anything we put our hands on, we could turn it around. And I'll just stay on this a little bit in talking about how Ralph Lauren, the Lowlives and Ralphie's Kids and from St. John's and from Brooklyn, how we took Ralph Lauren, put it on, and it became like this iconic brand in the African American community. And we're a big part. I believe African Americans are a big part of the success of Ralph Lauren. Air Jordans, Nike, how we put Nikes on and how we just redefine things. Anything we put our hands on, we redefine it and make it into something that's gold, that other people want it and try to mimic it. But can't nobody do it like how we do it.
Not no one.
Yeah.
No, not one.
Yeah.
And I love what you shared about like a little bit of the back history of how, as African Americans, how we show up and how style is very much something that we embody, right? When we think about Black flair, right? Like you think about church and the suits and the women
the hats
with their hats and stuff like that. Like it's just style, it's just stylish on another level. And I think appreciating all of those levels of style from what you just shared about Martin Luther King Jr. and all the other people, like how important it is to recognize that style was also used as a form of resistance. It was also used as a form of expression, right? And so I think it's just beautiful. So let's just switch a little bit as we talk about like, how do we navigate the workplace, right?
Yeah.
How do we navigate professional environments while embracing our very own style?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely for you because, you work in a space where you have to wear a uniform.
Yes.
And then you also work in a space where as a teacher, you have to dress appropriately when you're in front of your students. So I think that's all you.
Okay, I can take that.
I can probably talk a little bit about it too, but that's you.
Yeah, I could talk about that. So when I first started working as an early childhood educator, like I always used to observe that teachers wore clothes that were not flattering, right? They would not wear their best clothes. Why? Because you're working with the littles, and the littles mean when we work with little people, that means there's a great chance that you may get a stain, a marker, or paint on your clothes because you're working very in close proximity with the kids. And so I remember when I first started working at my first job as a teacher, I went against that, right? I'm always going against the grain, but I went against it because I was just like, you trying to tell me that I can't show up to work looking cute? Like I have to look raggedy, or I have to look, not raggedy, but I have to look disheveled because I'm working with the little people. And so I would intentionally wear white to work. And my coworkers always used to ask, like, why are you wearing white? Like, which preschool teacher would wear a white shirt or a complete white outfit to preschool? Why? Because I just feel as though I shouldn't have to sacrifice my expression, my outward expression for little people. So I would wear my white thing, and guess what? Not one dot would I have on that white thing, because of course I would be very careful. But I always felt that I should not lessen myself or make myself almost silence my expression in my fashion to appease anyone, not even the little people. And so even now in a work environment where I'm wearing scrubs all day, and it's so crazy, right? When I first found out I was wearing scrubs, I was like, dang, I can't wear my clothes. I'm all in my feelings. Yes, it is very convenient. It is nice to wake up and just literally know what I'm wearing, opposed to, having 10, 15 minutes of, I don't know what I'm going to wear, whatever. And so it does feel nice, but I found different ways to show up as Carlene authentically, showing, my style. I express myself through my style. And so I would wear my berets, right? I would wear my hats. And so now, again, not me intentionally saying like, I'm going to wear this because I want people to know I'm stylish. No, it's just almost like me walking around the world feeling silenced, right? Like I want to, dressing is how I express myself. And so I would wear my berets, and now like my coworkers are like, oh my gosh, you're so stylish. I'm just wearing a beret, y'all. Just wearing a beret.
They were like, I see you.
No, legit. They're just like, oh, okay, you're very stylish. I mean, I change up my sneakers, how I wear my hoodie and stuff like that. Like I'll wear it I'll wear my sweaters and stuff in a very like chill way or whatever. Like I just refuse to be silenced in any professional setting just because just because. So I guess in a professional setting, I'm very much, I'm very much like there. I need to be able to express myself, whether it's in how I style my socks or hats or my jacket. Like Carlene has to somehow shine through.
Yeah, I get it. As you were talking, I was thinking about when I went to Northeastern Academy, and they had a uniform, but even in the uniform, I would throw on the uniform, but I would throw on pieces onto the uniform.
Yes.
Right. So if I had on the shirt and the tie, I'd probably put on a polo sweater over it.
Yes.
Or if I had to wear black shoes, I'd wear black sneakers. So there was always an element that I had to redefine it. I'm thinking about like Fresh Prince.
Yes. And that episode
and how he turned the blazer inside out.
Yes.
And I think that's a part of expression. It's almost like, like you can't box me into what you want me to look like.
That's
I'm going to find a way to elevate this.
That's right.
In such a way.
And even as a pastor's wife, right?
Yeah.
Even in that environment, professional environment, like I'm not going to wear long, not to say that wearing things long is not stylish, but I just feel as though like it's the expectation is that you can't wear this or you can't wear that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty much like before. Now I think there's an evolution of pastors' wives wearing,
what they want
to wear.
Yeah.
But before it was stockings, it was a suit, right? Stockings and suit, like that was the staple.
The business suit.
Yes.
Not with the pants.
Not the pants, the skirt. Right. And so I remember I had a fleet of those in my closet, but there would just be somehow, some way that I would tie a scarf differently, drape it somehow, some way, so that I can be able to express myself.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you were talking about the church and style. And I remember when like sometimes you would tell me go to the corner store to pick up a pair of pantyhose because you had to wear
Yes.
pantyhose, right? And to see like how that has society, how that has evolved where women are not wearing pantyhose. Like that was like women had to wear pantyhose
It was
to work.
standard.
It was standard, right? And to see how style evolves and just
Yeah.
thinking about how like you used to have to like every week buy a pair of pantyhose because if the ones rip, you had to get another one.
Bruh.
But and speaking about church, like for me too, as I was thinking, I know that for me as a pastor, and when I was preaching, I knew that I wanted to look a certain way.
Mhm.
Or I knew that I didn't want to look like what I saw.
Uh-huh.
And so I would observe, and like some pastors, the suit jacket was too long, the pants wasn't hemmed, the tie, they would wear the tie with the matching
Pocket square.
or they wear like a bright red shirt with a bright red tie. And I knew that was not the look that I wanted. So even with pastoring, yes, we wore suits. And I felt like in the churches I grew up with or what I've witnessed, it was almost like any suit would suffice.
Oh, for sure.
But I knew that I didn't want any suit to suffice. I wanted my suit to look tailored. I wanted my suit to fit well because I felt like it commands presence. It looks like you care about the way you look. And I felt like if I'm preaching the word of God, if I'm standing in front of people, if I'm presenting the word, I should care about the way I look. I should care about the way I smell.
Right.
I should care about my shirt collar if it's clean. I should care about my nails. My shoes are clean. Like I even learned how to shine my own shoes.
Brother, you preaching right now.
Right. Like I think like all of those things too. And I think I think the point that I'm making, that you're making, that I'm making, that it's important for you to care how you look.
Yes. Yes. I think it starts there.
Yeah.
You have to first have an awareness to say, it is important how I show up, how I look when I walk out the door. And maybe it's something that was ingrained in us as we spoke about in our early years coming up. But I think it's so important for you to be able to show up the way you want to be treated.
Dress the way you want to be addressed.
The way you want to be addressed. It's almost like, it's one of those things like, of course, there's some people who are just like, I don't care how I look. It doesn't matter how I look.
Yeah, which I don't believe.
Unfortunately, there is a level in our society that treats you based on how you look.
Yeah.
Right? If you are dressed in a very tailored suit, people take you seriously versus if you kind of look disheveled, your shoes are dirty, your shirt collar has that ring around its neck. Like there are going to be a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be true, but they're just a lot of assumptions. Like people legit would literally treat me with respect based on how I look.
Yeah, Carlene, I got to go there. I didn't want to, but I got to go there.
Guys.
Man, if I see you in a bonnet and pajamas early in the morning, my first assumption is you ain't bathed.
Yeah.
You ain't shower. That's my first assumption. Point blank, I'm going to say it. You probably did. And I'm not going to come up to you and ask you if you did. But if I'm seeing pajamas early in the morning, because I don't know who wakes up and is like, let me take out an outfit and be like, oh, pajamas sounds like a good idea. That's what my assumption is. But it's to your point about, how people first impression is last impression. And unfortunately sometimes, it may not be true.
May not be accurate.
It may not be accurate, but it's just a matter of how I think, what I see when I see that. Like, for example, like the whole athletic wear that's become a style, and I have my whole theory why that's become a style, and we're not going to go there. But I'm assuming that when you wear that, you want me to know that you go to the gym.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now it's
Now
stylish.
it's stylish.
Yeah, but if I'm seeing that, I'm seeing that like, oh, you either about to go to the gym or you coming from the gym.
Right.
But now it's part of
Yes.
professional wear.
It's
But
all
going
about
back to the assumptions and caring about how you look, and first impression is last impression. And I think going back to the original question, that's something that was ingrained in me from a child.
Correct. And if I'm being honest, there is nothing like a black man in a well-tailored suit. There is nothing like my black man
Okay.
in a well-tailored suit. I think that's one of the things that attracted me to Jamie was the fact that he cared so much about how he looked.
Yeah.
That you were so intentional about the kind of suits you will get, as well as tailoring your suit to fit your frame.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I could not imagine you not caring about how you look when you showed up to church on a Sabbath morning.
Mm-hmm.
That truly affected the way I saw you. I would not even.
Right. You
even
wouldn't
try
give me
to-
the time of day. And I wouldn't
would
even
not.
feel like I could have not. And I also felt like I could not have approached you with the way with coming at you whack, right? Or coming at you without looking clean, without
That's
looking
right.
presentable. Because even during the week when we went out on dates or when we would hang out, I would be excited to wear something nice and well fitting, not just because I wanted to, but because I knew that I was going out with a very stylish young lady,
Yeah.
which attracted me to you as well.
And that gave you also motivation,
There you
right?
go.
That was motivation for you to be like, yo, I got to match her style. I got to match his style. And that's what truly makes our dynamic as it relates to dressing, getting dressed up, getting dressed, dressing down. That's what make our dynamic so dynamic.
Yeah. Oh, I like
because
that.
we truly appreciate each other's style.
Mhm.
And so this goes right into our next part of our show is when we think about the evolution of our individual styles throughout our relationship, what to you stands out most about the evolution of your individual style when we got together?
Yeah. So I think we got together 2001, and I think around that time I was taking suits seriously, but I was still very much more invested in streetwear. So very much into Ralph Lauren, and there's a story behind Ralph Lauren. Growing up in Brooklyn, those of you not from New York or not from Brooklyn, there was a gang called Low Lives, and Low Lives were everywhere in Brooklyn. And seeing them wear polo and then seeing Hilfiger, we were always into expensive brands. So I was still into both. But I think everything and everything that I wore always had to fit. So even if it was baggy, it was big jeans. I was wearing like size 34 jeans, but it still had to look good. It had to fall over the sneaker well. But to the point to your question is, I think my style has grown with me. As an adult, when I was a teenager, I dressed like a teenager.
That's right.
I let hip hop influence me. When I became a young adult, I wanted to start dressing more like a man. So I started to learn how to wear suits and shirts and tie and studying clothes. Like really,
tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I used to buy GQ magazine every month, and I would literally study clothes. Like I would literally read the pages and look at how they would wear it, look at how it's done. My dad taught me this. This is before, and maybe like when I was a teenager, he taught me how to pay attention to the fabric, pay attention to like, is the cloth good? Like when you squeeze it, will it wrinkle? And just to notice those things. But then I started actually becoming a student of the garments because that's how I wanted to look. So that when I walk into a store, I'll know what to buy. I'll know how it should fit. I know how it should look.
Yes.
And then when I figured out tailors were there, then I was like, oh, snap. I can buy this and take it to a tailor and I can get it to fit exactly. Like I can buy a shirt and the sleeve is too long. All I gotta do is pay an extra $5 or $10 and they'll cut the shirt so that it'll fit perfectly. And so I think like as I grew, my style changed. I didn't want to be a grown man looking like a teenager. I wanted to be a grown man, how a grown man should look. I want to smell like a grown man. And so that's how my style evolves, even though sometimes I know during the pandemic, I went back to like a second childhood and started buying a whole bunch of sneakers that I ain't even wearing right now. So holla at me. If you wear size 8 and you want to get some of my sneakers, I got exclusive stuff. So holla at me. But yeah, I always felt like it's important for men to dress their age. I don't like seeing grown men dressing like they're still 20.
Yeah.
So there's certain garments I won't buy. Like I see the young men, like today when we were at the mall, I was thinking like they have like, it's almost like it's skinny on the top and then it gets wider at the bottom. I feel like I'll look like a fool if I try to wear that, but that's appropriate for their age.
Yeah.
For me, I need jeans that fit. I need trousers that fit. I need shoes that look age appropriate. So it grows with me, and I can't say what it's going to be in the next 10 years. But, I think that it evolves with the mood and my age and just what I want to give off when I dress. I want people to see that's an adult.
Yeah.
That's a grown man.
Yeah.
That's unk, as they would say.
Right. You know, unk status.
I am on unk status, man. I saw a video and they were like, if the year you were born start with a 19, you were unk.
You were unk.
I was like, dang.
All right, unk. I'm gonna start calling you that, unk. Don't call me auntie though. I'm not auntie status yet.
Oh man, somebody will be like, who auntie is that?
I am not there yet. But anyway, so my evolution of style has been interesting for the most part. Because I definitely feel like I was always dressing, I would say tasteful. Like I went through different ebbs and flows. I feel like I was a long skirt girl, right? I used to wear the long skirts, especially to church.
Christian conservatism.
Because of my exactly. It was heavily influenced it started to heavily influence how I dress. And that was pretty much like early 20s, like late teenager, early 20s is when I kind of was just like, yeah, I need to be able to be mindful of how I dress, decorum, reading Ellen G. White's book on that and how, a young lady should dress and show up and stuff like that. And so I went through that period, and then I think I went through a period of just like wearing suits. But one of the things about me is I always liked my clothes fitting, not tight, but fitting, right? Fitting my body. And so not form fitting either, but just where my suits and my stuff will always fit well. And so funny, like people always used to ask me like, do you get your stuff tailored or do I get my stuff not tailored? People always ask me if I get my stuff
custom made.
Custom made. And I'd be like, nah, I wish, but no, I'm not on that status. And the reason why my stuff used to look tailor made is that I would always shop or find clothes that fits me, opposed to like going into stores that are trendy. And we're gonna get there soon, but I didn't want to. I like shopping in boutiques, right? I love shopping in different stores that were under the radar, and I think it also spoke into the fact that I did not want to show up like everybody else, and I did not want someone else to be wearing what I was wearing. Right? I was heavy on the gatekeeping because I just did not want anybody to look like me. Like that was like one of the fears I had of walking into a space, whether it's church or wherever, and then me and someone else we have on the same outfit. Like, bruh, I'd be like, no. And that only happened to me once.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Lord have mercy. But I feel as though now it's almost like the older I'm getting, the more I understand what it is that I like from what it is that I don't like. And I'm not afraid to take risks in my dressing.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to push the envelope a little bit more than before. And so as you know, as we talk about fashion as a form of expression, like it's truly how I express myself. Like if I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling down, like put me in, let me go ahead in my closet and put on something that almost brings life to me. And
Yeah.
so just the evolution of Carlene, I feel like I started out very conservative because of my religious affiliation, but now it's like bump that. Like not to say that I'm bumping my religious affiliation, I'm just bumping the fact that when it comes to clothes, I feel as though like, of course, it should be tactful. It shouldn't be, you know, too tight or seductive in that way. For sure, I'm 150% on that bandwagon. However, I do feel that that there are just tactful ways for you to look amazing and still be and still be, you know, I don't know, dressed well or
Yeah.
not, you know,
Yeah.
looking scandalous in any way.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, because I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to say your style has evolved with your mental liberation.
say that again.
Yeah, your style has evolved with your liberation
Yes.
mentally. And I think, you know, like how there are in different spaces, there are unique what's the word I'm looking for? Narratives to tell you how you should look and how you should
Yes.
be. And I think that once you evolved in your faith and your thinking about God, and that you realize you were dressing because of what people told you how you
Correct.
should look.
Correct.
And once you began to say, no, I'm not letting you tell me how I should look. I'm going to look how my faith and what I feel and what God is telling me how to look. I think that's definitely a part of your
Oh, for sure.
stylistic liberation.
Thank you for that.
And to where you are now.
I like that stylistic liberation.
Yeah, man, we drop it, you know, the dynamics of our dynamic, like everything we dropping tonight, because we're just talking about something we love. So,
It's true.
but yeah, I do believe that, and I do believe, like, for a lot of people as well, that I think your style is a part of your personhood and where you are mentally.
Yeah.
And that you get to a certain place where you're like, no, bump that. I want to look like this, or I want to wear this. And your style is not my style. My style is not your style. It's individual style, but how it complements and what kind of, I always feel like style is always you're communicating a message.
Yes.
To those that are outside. When you
Yes.
wear something, you are saying something.
Yes. And I think for females, I don't know about males, but I know for females, in terms of that, trying to evolve into creating your own personal style, I think that there's just so much we're so self-aware, where we're so self-conscious about, you know, how our bodies are, right? And so that's like one of the things that I learned from early on, like learning what works well with my body, right? Not showing enough, but not too much, and knowing what outfits or what clothes hits the way it needs to hit, right, on your body, so that it doesn't look tight. It doesn't look, you don't look uncomfortable. You can look classy, right? So that's something that I learned earlier on, is learning how to basically know your body type and buying clothes that work well for that body, for your body type, opposed to wearing something that's very trendy that does not work for your body type. Like there are some things that I see today in the stores or even online, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that joint is mad cute. However, I know my body, and I know that my body is not gonna rock with that, right? There's just certain cuts, certain how the garment lays on your body will literally make your outfit or break your outfit. So that's something that's super important as a female, just really learning how to know what makes your body, what works well for your body, not focusing on trends.
Yeah.
And so as we transition into the next part of the conversation, style beyond trends.
Yeah.
Right? Finding balance between what's trendy and timeless investments. And this is a topic that you and I talk about all the time. Like you and I are just like, we'll legit sit and talk for hours on the importance of timeless pieces, investing in your closet, things that are timeless versus something that trends. But I'm a let it, I'm gonna pass it to you.
You're going to defer to me?
And no, I'm gonna pass it to you and then you pass it back to me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, and picking up where you left off with body, like men should know their bodies too.
True.
Men should know their measurements. Men should know what works well with them, what doesn't work with them. It's particularly too if you're muscular or even if you're slim, like you have to know what works with you. You should wear the suit. Don't let the suit wear you, right? Like wear a suit that fits your body type and your structure. I would say this too, that the skinny suits are trendy and they're trending out. They're out of style right now. They've been out of style for a long time. I'm not a fan of the skinny suits when you button the jacket and you could see like the jacket pulling. Your jacket should not pull. Your jacket should fall seamlessly where it's not like cinched up on your back and your stomach is sticking out. It should be able to close nicely. And that a good tailor will be able to do that for you, to let out the back or let it in. Even with the pants being too skinny at the bottom, like there was a time when that was cool, but I don't think that's cool anymore. And it's trendy. I have suits that I have purchased. I think, when did we do that wedding in Kenya? That was
2019.
2019. I had the suit that I wore for that wedding before 2019. I must have bought that suit maybe like in 2014 or 2015, somewhere around that time. That suit still looks amazing. It's not tight. It's not a bright color. It's not a crazy fabric. It's a basic navy double-breasted suit, and it is not ripped. It is not torn. It's a great suit. I spent a good amount of money on it, but it's a timeless piece.
Correct.
Versus if I went out and bought like a yellow, slim, skinny suit that if I try to wear that again, people are going to be like, oh, that's him in that yellow, skinny suit again.
Right.
And so those are things that are trendy, that they're not necessarily timeless, and you spend more money that way.
Correct.
So people will trip over spending a lot of money for a suit, but they'll go buy a trendy suit, and then they have to go buy another trendy suit. By the time you add up all those trendy suits, you could have
bought yourself a
good, nice
quality
charcoal gray, a nice navy suit. I don't have a black suit.
You do not.
And I will not buy. I may buy a black suit, but it's got to be a unique kind of black suit. But even a tuxedo is okay for being black. But I'm going into my rabbit hole.
You are.
But I'm just saying this is that even the styles that the kids are wearing now, the styles that we wore, those were trendy, right? And those things are in some crates somewhere, or they've been given away. I'm just saying, for men, it's important for us to not get so caught up in the trends. It's okay if you do get caught up in the trends, but don't buy multiple pieces of it. Buy a few pieces of it so that you can say, okay, hey, that style is done. It's time to walk away. The super tight, super skinny is not working anymore. We need to end up, I got to say this last thing, and then I think we could bounce back and forth because I'm probably going to get more thoughts. But let's stay away from the polka dot, yellow, blue, green, them real bright color socks. That was a trend. It was cool at one point. It's not anymore. And it's also not professional.
Correct.
You want to show up in a business office or somewhere and you got some socks with a marijuana leaf on it. Matter of fact, they're not even dress socks. They're tube socks, and you wearing that with dress shoes. Those are just absolute no-nos. Yeah.
So this conversation, if I'm being honest, is a conversation that that I know Jamie is right now. He's being very, I would say, very good in terms of like he isn't nerding out right now because he legit nerds out with when it comes to clothing. I am not a nerd in clothing in the same way that he is. For me, I just kind of look at it. I know, I feel it, I see it, and I know what works. Right? For him, it's literally a science. It's literally jargon that he and I don't even know if I should make mention of his name, but it's crazy. And it's also very admirable and inspiring to know how much Jamie studies clothes and he knows he I feel like it's a calling. I feel like it's definitely a calling that he's missed, that he should probably tap into because for the amount of knowledge and the amount of time that he takes to learn about clothing is unbelievable. But anyway, that was just a little segue. But I think it is so important for a female to choose items that you can mix and match and that can last for a lifetime, right? Getting a navy blue blazer with the gold buttons, right? That's a classic, something that you should have in your closet
For men too.
that you can pair with anything. Like you think about a t-shirt, a button-down shirt, a cami, like a navy blue blazer for a woman. Like you can wear that with jeans, you can wear that with a skirt. You can wear that with a dress. There's just literally an unlimited amount of outfits that you can pull from getting a blue blazer. But I would just say a good blazer. Getting yourself at least one or two good blazers that you can wear, one for the winter, one for the springtime. I think a white shirt, a button-down white shirt that's crisp is also a really nice professional church kind of look, classy look that you can kind of do so much with that button-down white shirt. I think another classy thing would be to get you a nice pair of jeans, quality jeans that can truly wear over time and where you're not buying these, jeans that are cheap and then they don't wear well. I know for me, I am not, Jamie is the avant-garde of sorts as it relates to fashion. I'm the take me to the back, right? When I get into the store, I do not walk in the front. I go straight to the back because I know the back is where the sales department is. And so that's where I spend my time, on a sales rack. I make the time to comb through racks. And you know this, I
Yeah.
can spend hours and hours.
I can't
My
stand
mom
it.
and I, we can stay hours and hours combing them racks because guess what? When you comb them racks, there's some gems that you
I
find.
can't front. Yeah, I find gems.
There are some gems that you find that you be like, that you're just like, oh my gosh, like, did you find that? Where did you find that? I found it at TJ Maxx. I found it at Marshall's. Well, if I'm being honest, I like TJ Maxx more than Marshall's. But anyway, that's for another day. But I do believe that you don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to buy a whole lot of things in order for you to look amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And staying away from, again, the trendy, cheap stuff. I think, to your point, you can buy that one thing and wear that one thing multiple ways. And that's for me in my closet. Like I legit can go maybe. I remember in when we were at City Temple, like there was very little amount of times that I repeat outfits because I just knew how to switch it up, and just learning how to switch it up from a young age has proven that it works over the time.
Right. Right. Yeah, it works. And the other thing too is like it goes back to the conversation about knowing your for men. I'm talking about for men about knowing your measurements and your size because you don't always have to buy brand new stuff. Men's secondhand clothes is very well because usually a guy that cares about his clothes takes care of his clothes.
Mhm.
He hangs it on certain hangers. He washes it a certain way. And so a lot of times men are always switching out their closets and they're selling stuff. And you can get a very expensive suit for far less because they're getting rid of it to get another suit. And then you can find sales. There are things that you can find on
Yes.
sale for men. But I think for sometimes for guys, we don't want to take the time and I think that's
And it
another
shows.
important thing. We don't want to be patient with building a closet.
Mhm.
So the quick stuff, the cheap stuff is available and we could buy it right away. But I promise you, some of the suits that I'm sure some of you guys paid like $100 or $300 for, they don't last long. They
No.
don't because they're made very cheaply. They're glued together. They're not full canvased. And after a while, a few wears, they don't fit the same way.
And what's crazy, Jamie, is this, like, I believe that a man honestly just needs maybe 2 good suits,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2.
Charcoal gray and a navy suit.
And I feel as though if you invest in that one, say you can only afford one at this time,
Right.
like you can legit wear that one. And every time you show up in a space, you look amazing. Now invest also not only in the suit, but invest in a good quality shirt.
Right. Good quality shirt.
And
Get a navy blazer, a double-breasted one, a single-breasted one. Get a one pair of jeans. You could survive off 2 pairs of jeans, a dark rinse and a light rinse.
Mhm.
And you have those jeans and you have them cut well. You can wear them with a nice low-cut sneaker. You could wear them with some loafers. You could wear that with the blazer and a blue shirt, a white shirt. You can do so much. But just spend quiet. And then here's the other thing too, right? With me in style, I don't always come up with my outfits from out of nowhere. Like I said, I used to buy the GQ magazine and I would mimic what I saw there.
Yes.
And if I couldn't find, I would look for what looks like that and put it together. And now we have Instagram where there's so many people.
Yeah. It's like it's like a lookbook.
Just a lookbook. And so you just take a picture of what you think, how that looks. And you can go find those pieces. They won't be the same exact pieces, but you could find them in stores that have quality stuff and put it together and still be very stylish. Like some people are gifted to just come up with it and kill it. I know for me, I get inspiration from looking at other people. I get inspiration from my friends that I know that some are just some dope style icons. And I just mimic that stuff. That's how I built my closet. Like when I go pick up something at the store, I'm thinking about what I have at home and how I can pair that with everything else. So if I see something that's nice and I feel like I can't pair with anything else, if it's for a good price, I'll pick it up and then find other pieces. But I'm always thinking about what I have and how I can, mimic and put this together and add this to that other piece. So it's definitely more than just a moment. I'm thinking about long term.
Yes, I think I'm the same way, sort of. I think I find inspiration in how other people, like if I see like someone wearing an outfit, I'll say, okay, okay, I like what they did there. Let me go ahead and put my own spin on it, right? And so I think that is what truly brings to life, your style is getting the inspiration from wherever you get inspiration from, and then going to the store. And not necessarily, for me, it does not work that way, unfortunately. For me, when I go into the store, chances are I'm not looking for something. So when I do look for something, I can never find it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's random. So I have to frequent the stores. And every time I frequent the store, I don't necessarily have to buy something, but I just frequent to the stores to just kind of look for pieces that I know can work with what I have in my closet, like yourself.
Right.
Or sometimes they may not even work in my closet. I'm just like, this is a piece that's unique. This is a piece that's it's quality. And this is a piece I can see myself wearing. Now, a lot of times when you pick up that piece, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's too big. It's too long. Not for me. I'll be like, I think the best kept secret is going to the tailor. Like the tailor should be your best friend.
Yep.
Regardless of whether you're tall, you're short, whatever your body shape or size, the tailor is your best friend.
Yep.
If you want the clothes to fit you the way that it is intended to, you have to go to a tailor. Because guess what? Most of the clothes are not intended to fit bodies like mine,
Right.
where I'm short, I'm hippie, I got a little butt, right? So unfortunately, those jeans or those pants, those trousers are not intended to fit me the way it's supposed to. So guess what? I have to take it to a place where I know that they can rework the material, they can rework the trousers, they can rework the blazers. Don't get it twisted. My blazers, I get them tailored because I want my clothes to fit almost like it was tailor-made for me.
Right. Absolutely. And it just takes time and being patient and just building your closet and just really thinking about how you want to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, they might not care. They like, yo, this is how I want to show up. But I just know that for us and for me personally, I take pride in looking a certain way. And it's not because I want people to, it's not because I want attention.
Correct.
I like how I look.
Yes.
I do it for me.
Yes.
And it's just something that I like to do. And to make sure. And there's some days where I'm not in a suit. I'm like in this, a cardigan, a pair of jeans, and a polo shirt, and just chilling. I love hats, dad hats. And some days I will just flip it and just wear something super elegant and dressed up. And my kids will be like making fun of me.
Yeah, like, where you going, Daddy?
Yeah, where you going? And they'll beg me, please don't wear your, what does Caitlin call it? Your daddy trousers and your daddy shoes. And you're like, yeah. But I like, now there's another reason why I dress like that too, for them. And just to set an example, because I'm trying to set a standard as well.
That's right.
But,
as you should.
Yeah, but your style is this is it. This is my final words. Your style is an extension of who you are.
Yes, I agree. And so we would love to hear from you all regarding like what is your style? Like, do you agree with some of the things that we shared during this podcast? What is your style? Where do you get inspiration from? We would love to hear from you, as this is just part one of this 2-episode series of style and fashion and all the things.
Style and soul.
And so thank you so much for tuning in for our podcast today. We hope that you guys will come back next week and as we share a little bit more about the generation to come, like what does that look like for our kids and different things like that. So we're really excited about talking about that as well. But again, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Again, please go ahead and like this episode, share it. If you felt inspired and you feel like, yo, I need to share this with a friend or a family member, just go ahead and do that right now. Just go ahead, right here, just right now.
Right here.
Go ahead.
Just touch that subscribe button. Just do it. You can do it. You can do it.
And just go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We truly appreciate the love and support as we continue to show up in this space authentically as Carlene and Jamie. So again, thank you for rocking with us. Until next time, this is your girl Carlene.
This your boy Jamie.
Peace.
Peace.